Hello, today we'll be covering Voronoi diagrams of the IB AIHL course. So first of all, before we get on into answering these actual paper one question, we first need to understand what is the question asking. So, as we see on diagram 1, we have site A, site C, and site B, and we have the dashed lines. It's basically saying that the area that this point here is closest to B, then it is to C, then it is to A. However, when it's in this dashed line, it is equally distant. It's called this bisector, okay? So, on the following Voronoi diagram, the coordinates of three farmhouses are A, B, and C, where distances are measured in kilometers. Each farmhouse owns the land that is closest to it, and their boundaries are defined by the dotted lines on diagram 1. So, we have this dashed line is from A to C, this green dashed line is from B to C, and this blue is from A to B. Okay? However, we know that the scholars they intersect, which is to provide water to the farms. It is decided to construct a well at the point where the boundaries meet on diagram 1. Write out the coordinates of this point is when x equals 4 and when y equals 8. 4, 8. Now, find the equation of the perpendicular bisector of A and C. So, we have A and we have C. The first step is to find the gradient on this question. So we use the formula which is in the formula booklet. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So let's say that here the A is my x1 and y1 and here is my x2, y2. So if I start plugging in the numbers, I'll get 13 minus 3 and 8 minus 0, which I can simplify to 10 over 8 and 5 over 4. So this is my gradient. So m is equals to 5 over 4. However, when I'm talking about the perpendicular bisector, my gradient is useful when I find the negative reciprocal. What is the negative reciprocal? Is when 1 over m. That's my reciprocal, and my negative is 1 over negative m. So I need to find this for my equation of line. So it's 1 over 5 over negative 5 over 4, which if you use your calculator or you just understand that it's when it's 1 over something, you just flip the equation, you get negative 4 over 5, which by checking the calculator, which you can use anytime in the test, you'll find negative 4 over 5. So that's your gradient on the perpendicular bisector. Now, we found the gradient, but we found the negative reciprocal, but we didn't find the equation. However, remember how 4 over 8 is part of this equation, as it is when it meets all the other points. We can use this in the point slope form, which is when y1 minus y equals m x minus x1. Now, I will just say y1 is my 8. So 8 minus y. My m is negative 4 over 5. I'll just move this up. I'll move this here to somewhere here. And I have my x and my x1 is 4. Okay, so now I have to distribute my negative 4 over 5, which I'll get y minus 8 over equals to negative 4 over 5x plus, which there is the negative times the negative, which is a plus, negative 4 over 5 times negative 4, I'll get 16 over 5. In my equation of line, I just want when it's y equals, so I have to do a plus 8 on both sides, which I'll get negative 4 over 5x plus 8, which is 56 over 5. So the equation of the perpendicular bisector is when y equals negative 4 over 5x plus 56 over 5. Now, an additional farmhouse D is built on the land. The Voronoi diagram has been redrawn to show the new boundaries. The coordinates of the vertices of these boundaries are indicated on diagram 1. So, these are the vertices, this and this. So I'll just name them by 1, I'll number them 2 and 3. Okay? How do I know the distance between B1? What is the distance? I can either use the formula, which is in the formula booklet, and do this for every time, or I can simply, what's the question asking? The wind turbine should be as far from the nearest farmhouse as possible. So we want to find the biggest difference between the x and the y component. So for example, B1 would be equal to 8, which is my x value, and 4, which is my x value, and I'll subtract them based on this distance here that we're talking about. So the distance between B and 1 is 4 and 2 when I subtract also 3 and 1. So now let's do this to all the other questions. So the distance between A to A1 is when my x value is 4 minus 0, which is 4, and my 3 minus 1, which is 2. So I can see that the distance between A1 and B1 and B1 would be the same, right? So they're equally, they have the same distance, right? But we want to see the one that are far from the nearest farmhouse. So now let's look at C at 3 and C to 2 to see which one is C near. So I have 8 for my x value. I have 8 minus 9 over 11, and for my y I have 13 minus 106 over 11. So 8 minus 9 over 11 is 7911, which if I convert to decimals is around 7.18. Now my 13 minus 116 over 11 is 27 over 11, which is equals to 2.45. So my C to 3 is 7.18 and 2.45. So we can see that C to 3 is already larger than A and B1. And if I just take a quick look between D and 1 here, I can see that my x component would be 6 minus 4, which is 2, and my y component 4, which will give also the same distance on here. Now, let's see if C2 has also this big difference in C and 3. So it's 11 minus 8, which is 3 in the x component, and in the y component is 13 minus 8, which is 5, which is in total the distance would be 3 to the power of 2 and 5 to the power of 2. So here's 3 to 5. So the largest difference here is between C and 3, right? So the wind turbine should be as far from the nearest farmhouses as possible. By calculating appropriate distances, find the location of the wind turbine. So it will be on vertex 3, okay? It will be on vertex 3 because it is the biggest, it is the largest difference that we have here. Hence, write down the distance of the wind turbine to the nearest farmhouse. So I will already get the values that I found, which is 7 point, let me get another color, 7.18 negative and comma 2.45. So I was putting my calculator 7.18, so my distance is equals to square root of 7.18 plus 2.45 squared. So by plugging in this calculator, I get the distance in kilometers to be 7.59. 3 significant figures, kilometers. So I hope you guys like this, and if this was helpful, I'm glad that I could help.